So that's what we're going to do. We're going to read the Roswell incident because I was doing a live stream and they decided to literally kick me off the internet, is what they did. While I was reading the Roswell incident, just knocked me off of my live stream on my laptop. And so this Roswell is going to get read. Okay, I'm going to read it. I am. I'm going to read the unofficial account. And I'll say something else. My cell phone that I normally, my new one, I can't find it anywhere. It just disappeared. Can y'all hear me? Because I'm going to read it. I'm going to read the Roswell incident right here. And it's The Road to Recovery. Oh, you can hear me? That's perfect. You kicked me right off. They truly did. So we're going to read it now. I'm starting all over. The year was 1947. It was a watershed for both UFOs and the United States military. The Kenneth Arnold and Maury Island stories were widely disseminated by the news media, and the UFO reports began to pour in to authorities. Pour into authorities. The military, always concerned over new foreign technology, began to consider the possibility of recovering a crashed specimen either by accident or design. Media pundits wondered aloud if growing reports of flying saucers represented some new invasion of the skies, or if the UFOs had been there all along and were only just now being publicly acknowledged. But in hindsight, it would appear to be the latter. In the mid-1990s, Jan Aldrich, a retired U.S. Army Field Artillery non-commissioned officer, began his one-man Project 1947. Hey there, Polly Honey. An effort to cull North American and foreign newspapers published between June the 24th and July the 15th, 1947 for UFO reports. Hello there, Al Honey. Aldrich, who eventually enlisted other researchers in his project, discovered more than 1,000 documented UFO incidents after screening more than 3,200 publications worldwide. And those were just the reports that found their way into print and were located. Aldrich said there were indications that 1,000 more cases might be uncovered with continued effort. Hold on, you all. I got to get Rosie's chair out of my way. Hold on, because I got to be really careful. Oh, hold on. Rosie, honey, how am I going to get your chair out of my way? She ain't up here, you all, but I got to get her chair out of my way because I got to stand up without having to lean forward on Rosie's thing. We're reading this Roswell incident, and they have tried to knock me off. Let me try to get it going, y'all. Let's get you going. Right here. I feel like it's going to fall over. Hold on. I'm on page 89. Hold on. Page 89. I got to get this thing because it feels like it is literally going to fall over on me. All right. I think I got it. I think I got it now. Yeah, Rose. That's right, Al. How did you know she was downstairs by the fire? No. I'm going to read this. Page 89. I'm reading it. I am. Because they cut me off the internet. So now I'm going to read the whole entire thing. All right. Yeah. There were indications that 1,000 more cases might be uncovered with continued effort. But one case in particular was to become the most publicized and mysterious UFO story of all time, and it concerned the reported crash and recovery of UFO in July of 1947, New Mexico. The Roswell crash. No UFO story has captured the imaginations of the public as has the reported crash at Roswell, New Mexico. Actually, I had the privilege of going to Roswell, New Mexico. Loved it. Just last year. It was wonderful. Or was it this year? It was this year. It was, I guess it was. Maybe. I can't remember, but it was a wonderful thing. Okay, so we're going to finish it. You're just tuning in. I think they're throttling this and they don't want people to hear about it. Yeah, welcome. It was this year. Thank you, Marcy. Time has flown by. No, I think it was last year. No UFO story has captured the imagination of the public or has had the reported crash at Roswell, New Mexico. It remains one of the most well-documented of UFO issues, yet there is no clear consensus even now on what actually happened. To search for the truth, one should first consider a chronological account of the matter. The story began on Tuesday, July the 1st of 1947, when radar installations in New Mexico started tracking an object that zigzagged across the state, exhibiting unconventional speeds and maneuvering ability. On Wednesday, an object was sighted over Roswell. On Thursday, some Washington officials flew in to observe the object. Late Friday night, the object was lost on radar screens and believed crashed. Saturday, July the 5th, Grady L. Barnett, claimed he, along with some archaeologists who happened to be working north of Roswell, discovered wreckage and reported it. The Roswell Volunteer Fire Department was called to the scene, which was on a ranch 35 miles north of Roswell. The rancher, William Mack Brazel, found debris scattered over an area 3/4 of a mile long and several hundred feet wide. So much debris that his sheep refused to walk through it. On Sunday, July the 6th, Brazel drove to town and talked to the sheriff, who suggested that the military be notified. Soon, military units arrived and cordoned off the area. Later in the day, Brazel spoke with the Air Intelligence Officer, Major Jesse A. Marshall, and showed him a piece of the debris. Brazel returned to his base and notified higher authorities that something unusual had occurred. By Monday, July the 7th, a systematic examination of Brazel's field by the military began, including an air search. Early on Tuesday morning, Major Marshall stopped by his home as he returned to the airfield and showed unusual material to his wife and son. The military authorities must have felt the debris did not constitute a serious security problem. For later that evening, or later that morning, the information officer of the 509th Bomb Group at Roswell Army Airfield, the only unit armed with atomic weapons at that time, was authorized to issue a press release announcing that the military had recovered a flying disc. This steered media interest all over the world. That afternoon, Major Marshall was ordered to fly with the debris to Carswell Air Force Base in Fort Worth, Texas. Meanwhile, in Washington, higher military authorities either learned of new developments. Some researchers believe that they had learned of the discovery of the main body of the UFO and alien bodies by the military searchers, or had second thoughts about publicizing the debris. According to the Associated Press, Deputy Chief of the Army Air Force Lieutenant General Hoyt S. Vandenberg moved to take control of the news out of Roswell. On Tuesday evening, the 8th Air Force commander, Brigadier General Roger Ramey, from his Carswell office, told newsmen that Marceau and others had been mistaken and that the flying disc was actually nothing more than a weather balloon. Ramey's weather officer, Warrant Officer Irving Newton, was brought in and identified the debris that he saw as belonging to a weather balloon. Photographers were allowed to take pictures of the balloon wreckage. Years later, researchers Kevin D. Randall and Donald R. Schmidt claimed the original debris was replaced by balloon wreckage in Ramey's office minutes before the newsmen were ushered inside. Following the announcement of the balloon explanation, media interest quickly faded. And in those security-conscious days following World War II, with fear of Russian attack becoming a way of life, no one thought to question the official version. There, the matter rested until 1978, when Jesse Marcel broke his silence, telling UFO researchers Stanton Friedman and Leonard Stringfield that the object he recovered was not from the Earth. Since then, the story of Roswell crash has become a focal point of UFO research, spawning dozens of books, TV documentaries, and videos. There can be no doubt that something dropped out of the skies near Roswell on July the 4th, 1947. The question is what? Once again, we encounter conflicting mindsets. One mindset accepts the official explanation that a secret military balloon crashed, somehow was mistaken for a spaceship by otherwise competent intelligent officers, and was hidden away for security's sake for almost half a century. Another accepts that a downed spacecraft containing alien bodies was recovered by the military and hidden from the public. Everyone agrees that no spaceship wreckage or alien bodies have been made public. Therefore, the truth seeker is left with only human testimony and official pronouncements. The basis for accepting the balloon version rests exclusively on government reports, which deny any unusual aspect to the Roswell case. A lengthy recitation of past official lies, disinformation, and deceit should not be necessary to establish that such pronouncements cannot be accepted at face value. Some recent theories contend that the wreckage actually was secret tests of a 10-balloon cluster device under Project Mogul, which was launched July the 3rd from Alamogordo, New Mexico, or a secret Navy skyhook balloon. If it was either of these devices, competent intelligent officers should have been able to distinguish it from a flying saucer. Furthermore, if this theory is correct, a common weather balloon must have been substituted for the Mogul or skyhook balloon for the news photographers in Fort Worth, substantiating claims that the Air Force deliberately deceived the news media and the public. And if they lied about one thing, it stands to reason they would lie about another. According to several reports, both the debris and the alien bodies were taken to Roswell Military Hospital, then flown to Andrews Air Force Base in Washington, and on to Wright Field at Dayton, Ohio. Debunker Curtis Peebles scarcely mentioned alien bodies in his book, concentrating instead on the debris as exhibited at Fort Worth. Peebles gave the accounts of only 4 witnesses, one of whom was Barney Barnett, whose story he correctly discounts, as Barnett's location of the crash site differed from most versions since the investigation in 1990 found that Barrett's 1947 diary contained no mention of the Roswell crash. Peebles was able to state that Barney's story was unsupported by any documentation or additional witnesses. After alluding to some of the more outrageous theories concerning the Roswell incident, Peebles smugly concluded, if all these extraneous stories are removed, one is left only with a few fragments in a field. Hey, Pepe Lou. On the other hand, consider the additional witnesses drawn from the well-documented book, The Truth About the UFO Crash at Roswell by researchers Randall and Schmidt. We're going to read this. William Woody, watching the sky south of Roswell on July the 4th with his father, saw a brilliantly glowing object with red streaks. Unlike other meteors he had seen, it was brighter, the wrong color, and it took a long time to fall. Mother Superior Mary Bernadette from the roof of Roswell St. Mary's Hospital saw a bright light go to earth north of town and recorded the time at between 11 o'clock and 11:30 p.m. July the 4th in a logbook. Sister Capistrano, a Franciscan nun standing beside Mother Superior Bernadette at St. Mary's Hospital, also saw the object come down. Corporal E. L. Piles, stationed south of Roswell Army Airfield, saw what he first thought was a large shooting star with an orange glow fall through the sky sometime around 11 p.m. and midnight. James Ragsdale, a camper who saw a fiery object crash near his camp on the night of July the 4th. The next day, Ragsdale discovered a crashed circular craft and small bodies. He fled when the military arrived, thinking he might get in trouble. True Love, a pseudonym, a camping companion with Ragsdale, confirmed his account, stating she also saw the craft and the bodies. Jason Ridgway, a pseudonym, to protect the man's identity, saw the crashed object, identified it as a saucer craft, but refused to talk about it for many years. He was a friend of Mike Brazel, the rancher who owned the property. C. Curry Holden, one of several field archaeologists who stumbled upon the crash site, described a fat fuselage without wings. He also said he saw 3 bodies, 2 outside the craft and 1 partially visible inside. Dr. C. Bertrand Schultz, a paleontologist working in the area, heard of the crash and the bodies from Holden and encountered the military cordon thrown up around the site. Major Jesse Marshall, the Roswell intelligence officer who was first on the scene and announced the crash of a flying disc, took pictures of the strange metal that would straighten out after bending. He took it home to show his family. Although Marshall did not contradict the balloon explanations at the time, in years later he said that he was correct the first time about the craft from space and that he was muzzled by military authorities. It was not anything from this earth. That I'm quite sure of, said Marshall. Being an intelligence, I was familiar with all materials used in aircraft and in air travel. This was nothing like this. It could not have been. Dr. Jesse Marshall Jr., Major Marshall's son, and Air National Guard flight surgeon, who clearly remembered markings on the metal brought home by his father as consisting of different geometric shapes, leaves, and circles, akin to hieroglyphs. His father told him the metal came from a flying saucer, then had to explain what a flying saucer was to the young Marcel. Colonel William Blanchard, Roswell Army Air Force Airfield Commander, visited the crash site and initially indicated to Marcel that the crash involved something highly unusual, perhaps a Soviet secret weapon. He immediately passed the entire matter up to his superiors, and nothing was said about a balloon. Major Edwin Easley, Blanchard's provost marshal in charge of the military police who guarded the crash site, told researchers a large volume of crash debris was loaded onto trucks and taken into the Roswell base, where it was placed on an airplane. And in recent years, Easley said he promised the president he would not reveal what he saw, but indicated he believed it was an extraterrestrial craft. Sergeant Thomas C. Gonzalez, one of the guards at the site, later confirmed the recovery of little men with large heads and eyes. Steve McKenzie, stationed at Roswell, tracked the object on radar for almost 24 hours and then visited the crash site, where he said a major from Washington took charge of the dead bodies, described as small with large heads and eyes. McKenzie said if the object he tracked had been a weather balloon, secret or not, his superiors would have ordered him to ignore it. Lieutenant Colonel Albert L. Duran, a member of McKenzie's unit, has acknowledged seeing the small bodies. Warrant Officer Robert Thomas flew to Roswell from Washington with a team of experts, including 2 photographers, early on July the 4th, after learning of the erratic path of the object. All were on hand at the crash site, according to McKenzie. Master Sergeant Bill Rickett, a counterintelligence corps agent, arrived late at the crash site, but described what he saw as a curved craft with a bat-like trailing edge that had struck the front first into the side of a cliff, scattering a great deal of debris. Rickett was assigned to assist University of New Mexico scientist Dr. Lincoln L. Paz. According to Rickett, La Paz, apparently unaware of the bodies, concluded the craft was an unmanned probe from another planet. Sergeant Melvin E. Brown later told family members he helped transport alien bodies from the crash site to a Roswell hangar. He described them as smaller than humans with leathery skin like that of a reptile. Frank Kaufman of the 509th Bomb Group staff told of a single large crate that was placed in a cleared-out hangar at Roswell and protected by armed guards. He said he understood the crate contained bodies recovered at the crash site. W.O. Pappy Henderson, a pilot with the 1st Air Transport Unit, flew the crate and the debris in a C-54 transport plane to Andrews Air Force Base in Washington. Then on to Wright Airfield in Ohio, according to Steve McKenzie. Henderson's widow, Sappho, said he had described the debris as weird and nothing he had ever seen before, and she added that following a TV special in 1988, Henderson confirmed the description of small recovered bodies. Sarah Holcomb, who worked at Wright Field at the time, told researchers she heard from a crew member that a plane had landed with bodies from a flying saucer. Later, the base commander came around and said there was no truth to the story, but added that anyone mentioning the rumor would be subject to 20 years in jail and a $20,000 fine. Helen Watcher also was at Wright Field and said that she overheard the husband of a friend tell excitedly about the arrival of alien bodies. At first, she thought he meant people from outside the country, but she quickly understood he was referring to extraterrestrials. John Krumsbroder, a close friend of pilot Henderson with an interest in metallurgy, said he was given a piece of metal by Henderson, who said it was part of the interior of the crash site. Schroeder said the metal was gray and resembled aluminum, but was unable to cut it, even using a variety of tools. Major Ellis Boldra, who may have studied the same piece of metal as Schroeder, told his family that the fragment was incredibly strong and did not melt when he subjected it to acetylene torch, but in some way dissipated the heat. Floyd and Loretta Proctor, the nearest neighbors of the rancher Mac Brazel, recalled that Brazel showed them pieces of the debris which could not be cut or burned. William Proctor, the Proctor's son, saw a large amount of debris and took some home. Later, according to family members, he was forced to turn it all in to the military. William W. Mac Brazel, the owner of the crash site, said he heard an explosion during a thunderstorm on the night of July the 4th, and the next day, along with William Proctor, found a field full of scattered debris and described many big pieces of dull gray metal that was unusually lightweight and could not be cut or burned. 4 days later, after being held by military authorities and accompanied by military officers, Brazel told the Associated Press that the debris was actually found on June the 14th and consisted of string, paper, some tape, and a bit of metal that covered no more than 200 yards in diameter. Oddly enough, he ended this obvious description of some sort of kite or balloon by saying, "I am sure what I found was not any weather observatory balloon." Bill Brazel, Mac's son, said his father was held for 8 days by the military and released only after swearing not to discuss the incident. He told his son that he was better off not knowing about it, but swore what he saw was not a balloon. Bill Brazel said his father was muzzled by the military authorities. He also said he handled some of the debris found later on his father's ranch and that it resembled aluminum foil, but when wadded into a ball, it would straighten itself out smooth. He too said that it could not be cut or burned. The younger Brazel said he showed pieces of the metal to his friends. Sally Tataluni, the daughter of another Mac Brazel's neighbor, told researchers that she recalled Bill Brazel showing her a piece of dull-colored metal that he balled up in his fist, and when he opened his hand, it returned to its original shape. Frank Joyce, in 1947, a radio announcer for Roswell station KGFL, confirmed to researchers that Mac Brazel's story after being taken into the military custody was significantly different from an initial interview. Joyce said that when he talked to Brazel privately, the rancher admitted that he changed his story, but said he had been told to come in or else. Glenn Dennis, then a mortician working for Ballard's funeral home in Roswell, said about 1:30 p.m. On July the 5th, he received a call from the Roswell base mortuary officer asking if the funeral home could provide a number of small caskets that could be hermetically sealed. Dennis said he recalled something strange. He realized something strange had occurred when the officers called back and asked how to prepare a body that had been burned or left out in the elements for some time. Later that day, Dennis drove to Roswell Field to deliver an injured airman. At the base hospital, he saw strange pieces of wreckage in the rear of an ambulance, but soon was chased off by an officer who told him not to talk or somebody will be picking your bones out of the sand. A few days later, Dennis said a nurse friend told him she was called to assist in the autopsy of 3 foreign bodies that gave off an overpowering odor. She said the bodies were small with large heads and hands with 4 fingers ending in pads that looked like suction cups. E.M. Hall, the former Roswell police chief, confirmed to researchers that he heard Dennis talking about the base requesting coffins for the bodies from a flying saucer within days after the incident. George Bush, whose sister Mary worked as a secretary to the base hospital administrator, told researchers that he would never forget the day in July 1947 that she came home and told him she had seen a creature from another world. Wow. Chaves County Sheriff George A. Wilcox kept a carton of crashed debris left by Mac Brazel, but was ordered to turn it over to the military. And for some time, Wilcox complained how the military usurped his authority, even barring his deputies from the crash site. Worse yet, Wilcox and his wife Inez were told by the military police that if he ever talked about the incident, his entire family will be killed. Barbara Duggar, the granddaughter of George and Inez, said his grandmother quoted military police as saying, "If anything was ever said about the incident in any way, not only would we be killed, but they would go after the rest of the whole entire family." Years later, Inez Wilcox also confided to her granddaughter that a flying saucer had crashed near Roswell. Frankie Rove was the teenage daughter of Dan Dreyer, Roswell fireman who went to the scene on Saturday morning and later told his family he saw the wreckage of a flying craft, 2 small dead bodies, and a very small being about the size of a 10-year-old child. According to Rowe, the military authorities threatened her family, and one man told her if she ever talked about the incident, she would disappear into the desert and never be seen again. Brigadier General Arthur E. Exon was a World War II, that side of my nose is tickling, so that's the truth. They like it that I'm telling this. World War II combat pilot who spent time in a German prisoner of war camp and later was stationed with the Air Materiel Command at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, as it was known after Wright Field and Patterson Field merged. In recent years, Exxon became the highest-ranking officer to confirm that a quantity of material from Roswell arrived at Wright Field for testing by a special project, which was a team of lab workers. He said the material was unusual, looked like foil, but couldn't be dented even by hammers. He also said that he flew over the crash site and was able to see what the craft had come down, where it came down. Exxon added that the bodies were found with the main portion of the craft, which ended up in a separate location from the debris. Naturally, considering the clash of mindsets, questions have been raised about both the competency and veracity of the Roswell witnesses. But even if half of the witnesses are discounted, the remainder should be more than enough to convince anyone with an open mind that something quite extraordinary occurred at Roswell in the summer of 1947. That the incident stayed on the minds of men in power is illustrated by a story related by William Pitts, a former military man who today is a lecturer for the Society of Manufacturing Engineers. Pitts is the head of Project Blue Book, a private organization sanctioned by the U.S. Air Force to investigate UFO sightings. He said that in early 1977, he and others, including J. Allen Hynek, were summoned to a meeting regarding UFOs by Dr. Frank Press, the science advisor to the newly elected President Jimmy Carter. And the first question, recalled Pitts, was regarding Roswell. What did we know about Roswell? I turned it around and I asked them what they know about Roswell, and they did not reply. They went on to something else. It was not until more than a year later that UFO researchers began to hear the saucer crash story from Jesse Marcel, and interest in the Roswell case was revived. Various theories have been advanced to explain what was recovered at Roswell, and these include a raw wind target weather balloon, a Japanese Fugo balloon bomb, or a V2 nose cone containing monkeys. None of these theories can explain away all the evidence now available about this event. And if any of these theories are correct, it would still mean that the Air Force deceived the public when the weather balloon story was announced. Responding to a request by New Mexico Republican Representative Stephen Schiff, the U.S. General Accounting Officer conducted a document search on records pertaining to the Roswell incident, which only added to the mystery. In July of 1995, the GAO reported that the Roswell Army Airfield administrative records from March 1945 through December 1949 and the Roswell outgoing messages from October 1946 through December 1947 were destroyed. Schiff's press liaison, Barry Bitzer, stated, having spent 24 years in the military, Schiff did express some surprise that those records were destroyed, supposedly against the regulations and without traceable authorization. Only 2 records were found. A unit history report stating that a flying disc turned out to be a radar tracking balloon, and an FBI teletype stating that the military reported that a high-altitude weather balloon was recovered near Roswell. Of course, it was these 2 reports, official pronouncements produced only after the official version was conceived, which were used by the debunkers to dismiss the Roswell crash story. The FBI teletype was especially odd, as it indicated that the Bureau may have been monitoring Roswell-based telephones, and it clearly stated a disc was sent to right field. The teletype read, the name was blanked out, further advised that the object found resembles a high-altitude weather balloon with a radar refractor, but the telephonic conversations between their office and right field had not been borne out of this belief. Disc and balloon being transported to right field by special plane for examination. Adding to the confusion were claims that other disc-shaped craft may have been recovered at other times and in other locations. Saucers reportedly were observed and were recovered in Paradise Valley, north of Phoenix, Arizona, in October of 1947, near Aztec, New Mexico, in March of 1948, and in Mexico near Laredo, Texas, later in 1948, and any of the crash stories could have been real, with the others acting as red herrings, or all the stories could be false. Information on these crashes is meager compared to Roswell and involved the familiar charges and countercharges of lies and hoaxes. Even a purported autopsy film of an alien body recovered in 1947 has been offered as proof of the crash recovery. And during 1995, Ray Santelli, owner of a small London video distribution company, caused a worldwide clamor by revealing what he claimed was authentic 1947 black and white movie of the autopsy of an alien creature found in New Mexico. At first glance, the film, An Alien Autopsy, complete with 1940s telephone, clock, medical instruments, and a real handheld shaky quality scan, seemed to offer objective evidence that alien bodies had indeed been recovered in New Mexico. But the crash between the mindsets quickly engulfed this piece of evidence, along with other problems such as conflicting statements and foot dragging by the film's owners. Debunkers swiftly went into work attacking the film. The scientists took a standoffish attitude. Dr. Chris Stringer of the National History Museums in London said he believed the body was fake. It's most improbable that aliens could have evolved to look so like humans. Arguments raged back and forth about the legitimacy of the autopsy film until even many ufologists grew tired of the issue and faded into the background. Although no one was ever able to prove beyond a question that this was fake. Such is the fate of issues mirrored in the uncompromising battle between the mindsets. Without resorting to convoluted speculation with little or no supporting evidence, it would appear that the most straightforward explanation of the Roswell story is that a very unusual craft crashed and its occupants, whether dead or alive, were taken into custody by the U.S. military, which then conducted a cover-up. The military is the key here. Certainly, by the time the Foo Fighters, ranking members of the military establishment, must have known that something new and unusual was in the skies, and some researchers even contend that the authorities became aware of UFOs prior to World War II. Contingency plans must have been drawn up with an eye toward the eventual capture and recovery of an unusual aircraft. Such plans would have been activated after an examination of whatever was recovered at Roswell. It is a fact that this period marked a definite turn in the military's response to UFOs. Prior to Roswell, the military had been intensely interested in UFOs and open to the idea that they represented extraterrestrial visitation. But with the knowledge gained from the Roswell incident, the military became secretive and publicly offered every mundane explanation possible to account for UFO sightings. It may even be that the Maury Island affair was a military intelligence contingency plan to plant a discrediting UFO story in the public mind that was activated after the Roswell crash. Although the incident reportedly happened in June 21 of 1947, there was only the word of Dahl and Chrisman to substantiate that date, as it was not reported until after that time of the Roswell crash. Although the incident reportedly happened on, okay, we already got that, of the Roswell crash. Although the incident, I already read that, was only a word of Dahl and Christian, okay, they would, to substantiate that date, it was not reported until after the, okay. And the intelligent background of Chrisman added considerable weight to this consideration. Whether Roswell played any role in subsequent events or not, it is a fact that on September the 15th, less than 4 months after Arnold saw discs soaring over Mount Rainier, and only 2 months after Roswell incident, that President Harry S. Truman signed into law the National Security Act of 1947, which, among other things, created the National Security Council, NSC, and the Air Force as a separate branch of service, united the military branches under the Department of Defense, and created America's first peacetime civilian intelligence organization, the Central Intelligence Agency, and according to the unauthenticated documents collectively known as Majestic 12 Papers, a small select group of prominent military officers and scientists answerable only to the president was created at this time to deal with UFOs. And shortly after the establishment of our modern military and intelligence institutions, the U.S. military took its first official step to identify the source of burgeoning UFO reports, although interest had been high since the first saucer sightings appeared in the media in 1947. Lord have mercy. So Mount Rainier, yeah, that's a long reading. It's 47 minutes, but that's as long as our videos are. This is the Alien Agenda. Yeah, the Majestic 12, the cover-up CIA trick. That's what we're talking about. The balloon. It was a balloon last year, too. They sent the fighter jets up in the sky to shoot at the balloon. We had Brigadier General Pat Ryder of the Pentagon press briefing talking about those weather balloons up there in the sky. And they were tracking it across the United States, and then they found one in Alaska, and that's when they had to send the fighter jets up to shoot it down. Remember? No, they're lying, they're telling lies. They're gonna have to come. They're gonna have to come clean. So those small aliens had leathery gray skin. They were about the size of a 10-year-old. No telling how big that would be nowadays. But they're gray, and they had a reptile-like skin. Yeah, the Chinese spy balloon. See, it's been going on since 1947. They are fearful of what is happening. They are. It kind of reminds me of, well, if they had 4 fingers, how could they have suction cups? I don't know how that would work, but they had big heads and big eyes. They did. So they would be small. How big would a 10-year-old be? 3 foot tall, maybe? Yeah. I don't know. I really don't. Some had 6 fingers, Al. Well, I'm really wondering. Let me do something. Let me take you to my laptop, because I'm really wondering, since I'm over here, I want to take you to my one laptop right here, because I've got pictures. Let me show you of the aliens that showed up at my place. This is when I first started, and it was back in I know when that was. That was in 2019 is when it happened. And you know what I was doing in 2019? I was doing my she shed. I was hanging the insulation in my she shed, and it was around the early part of the year when it's cold outside, I think, maybe. And I saw them at night. It was around 10:30 at night, I think. They showed up at my house in the driveway. as I was walking through the yard, and I caught them with my iPhone. Caught them with my iPhone, and I think I had my clip-on lens. That clip-on lens caught a lot of extraterrestrial things. It did. Otherworldly things on it. It's a special lens. I still got it. I got 3 of them. Let me get over here. I'm going to show you what I saw. I've shared this on the YouTube before, but it's the aliens. It's the small aliens. Okay, I got it. You are we going to get to them? You just hold in. But I didn't see no suction cups. All I saw is their hands covering their faces. Yeah, I'm not. This is serious, Al, honey. I'm not giggling. Don't you be kidding me giggling. Okay. I got to get down to this. I do. I'm going to flip it around. This is my laptop. Because it's when I started taking pictures and stuff. I try to get to the aliens. I know that they were small beings. Come on, we got to, it takes a little while to get to them. Oh, it's making my arms tired, but that's okay. I won't get to them. I hope I'm going to get to them. I'm going to get to them. They're on here somewhere. I'm going to scroll until I find them because I couldn't see them with their hands in front of their face. Oh, let me flip this around, y'all. I got lots of pictures on here. And I'm getting close. Is this? I have no idea what that thing is. Oh, I'm going to have too much light on. Okay, I'm going to have to turn out the lights if I'm going to show anything on here. Let me get it. I do want to get the aliens on here. Because they showed up in my yard. Gina. Showed up in my yard. We just read that Roswell incident. I may not find them. If I can't find them, then it's not meant, right? Yeah. Then it's not meant. They probably disappeared off of here. That's what happened. Probably. I think they did. Disappeared off my laptop because I'm not seeing them. They're like gone. Where are they at? How could they disappear like that? We just got through reading the Roswell incident, and it's rather alarming what happened with it. Okay, we're getting close. And you may not know, but this is what I started taking pictures of, these type of ships. They came in by the thousands with my clip-on lens and my iPhone. They're like light ships. Sorry, I got the shadow right there. See those holes? That planetary like object? They had holes in them like that. They did, and they had things that went inside of them. Okay, they got these. Let me see it. Al, honey, tell me if I need to keep going. I really wanted to get to the aliens. I did, and I don't know if I'll be able to find them. I'm not going to mess with it because it's just distracting to me. It's very distracting. It's fine. Yeah. Oh, well. Oh, I think that's enough. It's draining me. Next time, that's right. Next time, I just don't understand where they went. I really don't. I've never heard the official account of that Roswell, but there sure are a whole lot of witnesses that seen a lot of stuff. And by the way, let me show you this. These ships, they are in the sky, black ships. You see them right there? This is in, let's see it, Clarksville, Indiana. You know that's not normal clouds, right? They're not. There's some kind of ships. Ships in the sky. It was the most creepy thing I've ever seen in my life. They were in north, south, east, and west. I remember being with my daughter in the car, and we was driving away from Menards on Veterans Parkway, and Menards is located on Town Center Boulevard. This is in the eastern sky. I looked in my rearview mirror. These ships were all in the sky. It was really, really creepy. There was some more like this, cloaked in the sky, in the clouds. Oh yeah, this is a big battleship right here too. It was a massive battleship. It stretched from all the way here. You can see the ship right there. This is a massive ship in the sky. It's literally like a big submarine or something. It goes all the way from here, goes all the way down through there, and then you can see this thing right here. A massive, massive ship cloaked in the clouds. You can see the top part of it. You can see other ships on top of it. It's like a big space carrier. Look at that. Look at it. It was in the sky. Could you imagine looking up there? You see these big black ships, and they're like that. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about, like that. That's right there. That was in the western sky because the sun was getting ready to go down. That was the front end of a massive, what you would call, would be a submarine-like ship up there in the sky. They can fly like that if they want. They can, it's literally. Just think of a great big ship on the water, on the ocean. This is a great big ship in the sky. Massive. Yeah. Oh, Pippi Lou, honey, you are so unwelcome. You really are. It's all right. I can show them because they are a different type of ships. Okay, they just disconnected me. I blocked that person when they said they're not ships, they're just cloud, and I rang this. They disconnected me as soon as I rang this. This, what I'm showing you is real. It is real. That is a massive ship in the sky. Just like you would see a ship on the ocean, like our big battleships, military ships, this is in the sky. They're cloaked in the clouds. That's right, Al, honey, I can do it. I will do it. I'm not playing. I am not playing. I'm not. I wanted to show the aliens, but I'm not going to show them. I never heard of the accounts of them before. That there were so many eyewitnesses, and I don't like it that they were told if you open your mouth, your family's going to get killed and you're going to get killed. That's very not nice at all. Sad. Get rid of your whole entire family if you open your mouth. Okay. Yeah. When a troll leaves, an angel gets their bells. That's right. That's right. We can say it like that. We can. Yeah. I am going to go because I'm not going to be able to find that thing on here. It's getting late. It's 10 o'clock at night. It's time to go to bed. That was a good read. It was kind of long, but it's all right. So that metal was like aluminum. You could wad it up but it could straighten itself out. And I think they have metal like that today, and it was heat resistant and you couldn't cut it, which is also pretty interesting. Yeah, good night, everyone. Good night. There is a lot going on in the world, too much going on, and there's a lot of effort to not talk about the UFOs, but this is no, the flying saucers. See, like there's one right there, that flying saucer. It's there. There's ships all over the place. But I really like this right here one because that's a totally different type of flying saucer. It's a different ship, and that right there clearly is a UFO, a round circular UFO in the south-facing camera, a Hawaii telescope right up there in the sky, and that is a massive black ship, and that is enormous. And that is a ship too. So we don't have a shortage of documentation on our end. We don't. We just have a shortage of acknowledgement that what we're seeing is real. It's like the cylinders that come down from the sky in Hawaii and they go into the ground. Just like they try to make them look like meteors, but they're not. They are cylinders going down into the ground in Hawaii too. I'm going to go. So with that being said, hello, wherever you are in any part of the world. Hello, from my heart to yours. Love you. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. And good night. You heard the low vibrating frequency? Yeah. Oh, you're so welcome. There's a lot of people who have seen a lot of flying saucers and orbs-like things. There's something going on, and there is talk of something going. And I'm sure there'll be a lot more information that comes out. You can't hide it forever. You truly can't. Yeah. So with that being said, hello, wherever you are in any part of the world. Hello. From my heart to yours, love you. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Thank you, Johnny. Love you all too. And good night. Thank you, Al. Thank you, Pippi. Thank you, Polly. Any other moderator on here, thank you. Thank you all for your comments. It's real what's happening. And there's a huge cover up, and they are terrified. They are terrified, is what it is. Yeah, love you.